I'm sure many of you are aware of the story of Wade Wilson. They are calling him the Cape Coral Strangler. He is a horrible monster, a literal waste of human skin. But what you may not be aware of is the very big controversy that exploded on TikTok 4 or 5 days ago regarding Wade Wilson. When I woke up Sunday morning, Jason and I were exhausted. We've been working all week long. Jason took a week off and came home to work on my studio and help me continue moving. Well, Saturday was my little princess's 4th birthday. So we were exhausted. We'd spent the day at the pool. I don't really drink that much anymore, but I had a couple drinks. So Sunday I was just like, oh, I'm just exhausted. So I got up Sunday morning thinking, this is just gonna be another tiring day moving. But then I got on TikTok. I had no intention of getting in the middle of a very big controversy surrounding not only a horrible murderer, but a very popular and very big creator on TikTok. But somehow I managed to do just that. I'm really good at sticking my foot in it. So what is this controversy? You guys are just not, you aren't gonna believe it, sadly, but it's bad. Wade Wilson made an appearance in court about 10 days ago. Now, the events we're talking about today happened in 2019, but he has just gone to trial. When he walked into trial, women lost their minds. All people are talking about is how hot this guy is. I have seen the most disgusting, vile videos made by women that are just not thinking clearly, apparently. This guy is so hot, he's fine AF. I'd let him run me over. Just wait till you hear the story. And I guess these comments and these videos just started to get under my skin. Then I saw, as I'm scrolling through these videos, that Bunny XO has, she's in big trouble on TikTok. Now, if you don't know who Bunny XO is, she is the wife of country superstar Jelly Roll. I like Jelly Roll, I like Bunny. Are they perfect people? No, but I follow both of them. So as I'm watching these Wade Wilson videos, I keep seeing these things about Bunny, and I'm like, what does she have to do with any of this? She's not a true crime content creator. She does have a podcast, a very popular podcast. So I start watching these videos that have this partial clip of Bunny talking about Wade Wilson. And then these other creators go in and give their opinion about what she said. And whoo, I'm gonna show you all of these videos, but I jumped on TikTok and I made a video based on what I had seen. I was immediately inundated by people on both sides of the fence. Some people were agreeing with me. Some people thought I was the worst person in the world. And then Bunny herself entered the chat on my page. Like I said, it has been a lot the last 48 hours. I'm gonna give you all the details. But as always, what matters is the true crime story. What matters is the victims. What matters is the conversation. What matters is that we talk about these crimes and that we talk about them in an appropriate way. And boy, there's a lot of people learning lessons right now. This is the story of Christine Melton and Diane Ruiz, their murders, and their killer, Wade Wilson, who some people in the press are calling the Cape Coral Strangler. I'm your host, Stacey Lee. Let's get into it. Police are called to the 200 block of Northeast 3rd Terrace in Cape Coral. Cape Coral is in Florida. My son and his wife, my daughter, live there. My daughter is in her 3rd year of residency. She is a doctor. She is finishing up her residency at Lee Memorial, and then she also practices medicine at a clinic there in Fort Myers. This is an area I've been several times. I even took you guys to Sanibel Island and showed you the devastation of the hurricane. We did a haunted episode in Sanibel Island. It's a very middle-class area, but it's very tidy and clean. The homes are older, but well-maintained. A lot of people have pools. It's not a place, it's not Miami. It's not a place that has a really high crime rate. There are some rougher areas, but it's not an area that's used to seeing things that happen in this story. On October 6, 2019, it was a Monday, 43-year-old bartender Diane Ruiz was reported missing. Diane's friends told the police that Diane was headed to work at the Moose Lodge where she worked around 10 a.m. and then she disappeared. Diane's purse was later found on the road that she would take to get to work. Police go to the public and let them know that a mother in town is missing, and so is her 2019 black Nissan Versa. So the search goes on for several days, and then on the 10th of October, one of the searchers notices that there is a vulture circling in a field behind Sam's Club. This person goes to investigate, and there they find Diane Ruiz's body. She's in terrible condition. We're going to get into that. The police then went on TV and informed the public of what was happening.
We are currently on the scene of a found dead body. It has the characteristics and similarities to the missing Diane Ruiz. We are unable to confirm that it is her at this time. We are waiting for the medical examiner's office to come and give us confirmation.
What time did you arrive here?
I can't give you the exact time, but it was, I'd say it was roughly about 1:30.
Is there a cause of death?
I don't have that yet. We're waiting on the medical examiner's office to get here.
What led you to this location?
Just our officers were searching the area.
Any tips help you at all?
I don't know if tip helped, but I know our officers were searching the area and they did find the body.
How far away is this from Diane's?
It's in the vicinity.
Can you say exactly where it was found?
I can get you that when we're done.
Was the body indoors, outdoors, in the field?
It was outdoors.
Now, as this is all happening, the public is already aware that there is another missing woman. 35-year-old bartender Christine Melton was reported missing by her friends on Monday, October 9th. Christine was supposed to show up to bartend at Oktoberfest. There was a big Oktoberfest going on at the German American Club there in Cape Coral, and Christine didn't show up for work. As soon as Christine's friends report her missing, the police begin looking for her and they bring in the canines. You can see them here standing outside the German American Club, which I guess is the headquarters for Oktoberfest there. And then you can see them here searching the fields for Christine. Apparently, they initially believed that she was going to be somewhere in that area. Then they go to Christine's home and that's where they find her. Christine is inside her home and she has been murdered. So Christine's body was found just days before Diane's body. Then a Fort Myers woman calls the police and tells them that she has just returned home from a yoga class. And as she pulled into her driveway, she noticed that one of her gates was shut, and this is a gate that's always open. Not only that, there was a car in her driveway that she didn't recognize. It was a black Nissan. So this woman goes to her back door, but before she enters her house, she's got a bad feeling. She gets on the phone and she tries to call her oldest child and asks her child, hey, why is there a car in the driveway that I don't recognize? What's going on? She can feel something's off. The woman opens her back door and she yells, hello, and kind of waits for a minute, and then she sees him. She thinks she hears something that sounds like a man's voice, and so she turns. And as she turns, Wade Wilson is coming to her like with her hands up, kind of like, hey, sorry, in a kind of apologetic gesture. The woman says, no, this is my house. What are you doing here? Get out of here. The man kind of tries to apologize and explain, and this woman is not hearing it. She's like, get out of here. He gets in his car and he starts to drive away. And as he does, the woman takes her phone out and snaps a picture of the car and a picture of the license plate. The man stops the car and says, why'd you do that? And the woman responds to him, because I don't know who the you are. Now get out of here. The woman then said that the man stopped and kind of shot her a glare, like he was deciding what he was going to do. And very fortunately for this woman, he decided he was going to leave. So the guy leaves, and then the woman goes to her own car and opens it up, and this terrible smell hits her in the face. And that's when she sees this man has urinated in the cup holder of her car. I mean, what a disgusting, weird thing to do. Pee in the bushes. So the man, who again is Wade Wilson, drives away, and the investigation into the discovery of the bodies, Christine Melton and Diane Ruiz, continues. Now, both of these women work as bartenders. So all of a sudden there's this panic in the community that service workers might be in danger. The police go on TV and they say, we don't have any reason to believe that service workers are being targeted at this point. As the investigation continues, a very strange call comes in to 911 dispatch. A man named Josh Lukic is on the phone, and he tells the 911 dispatcher that a shirtless man covered in blood has just walked into his business. Not only that, this man is claiming that he has just killed people.
I have a Hancock Bridge Parkway. Okay.
Tell me exactly what happened.
The gentleman's name is Wade something. I have no idea. I went back to my office, my place of business there, and he was there. He was just a cordial friend of a friend associate. He just did something bad, I guess, and is running from somebody, but I need to get him out of my place. And he's saying he's done all these crazy things. It's very odd. Very, very odd.
And you said his name was Wade?
Wade, yeah, I don't know his last name, but I know his name's Wade.
Are you or anyone else in danger right now?
I'm sure anybody is around him right now.
I know the audio quality is not great on that, but what you heard was Josh explaining to the dispatcher what was going on. Josh gives the dispatcher the address to the business and the police arrive. But before they can get there, the man, who of course is Wade Wilson, gets in his car and leaves. Now, I want you to watch this little clip of video. There's no audio, but it is the surveillance video at the business of the man, Wade Wilson, driving into the parking lot of the business and getting out of the car, walking shirtless and bloody into the business. Notice the car he is driving. It is a black 2019 Nissan Versa. It is Diane Ruiz's car. Now, I don't have the details on exactly how this played out on the timeline minute by minute. And I'm going to be really honest with you. I didn't have the time that I normally have with this episode to go in and get those details. But a police officer notices Wade sitting in this black car, and this cop decides to approach him. And this is what happens.
How you doing? What's going on, man? You're waiting on your girlfriend? Oh, okay. That's no problem. No, I got a call. Somebody was sitting in their car and everything like that. So. Oh, okay. She's on her way now. Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay. L41 to bike 5. I'll explain to you when my partner gets here, okay? Shut the car off for me. It's off. I'm going to detain you until I figure out what exactly is going on. Okay, yeah, that's what I'm saying. So I'm going to have you step out of the car, and I'm going to detain you. Not arrest. Detain you right now. Okay? And I can't have any problems. You understand me? Wait, we're not going to have any problems. Just give me the keys to the car. Wait. Just wait till my partner gets here. L41, gonna need a couple more units. Don't go anywhere. Hey. Don't do it. He's in his car. He's attempting to take off.
Now, again, it cuts off there. I do not know if the cop followed him, if he didn't. I wish I had a little more time to go into all of this. We're going to get to the meat of the story in a minute. Now, we need to talk about Wade Wilson for a few minutes. It's important that you know Wade was put up for adoption as a baby. When Wade was born, I think his dad was 14 and his mom was 13. They were children, so they put their baby up for adoption. Wade's father is now in his, I think, early 40s. And up until a few years ago, he had no contact with his son. When Wade turned 18, that would have been, I believe, 2017, he tracked his father down. Wade and his biological father, who, by the way, is Stephen Testaseca, kind of reconnected and started a casual relationship. They would talk on the phone. They didn't see each other in person a lot, but very early on in the relationship, Stephen reports that Wade was just constantly asking for money. Stephen began to distance himself a little bit from his son when he realized that his son has a criminal record and also a reputation for being very violent and very abusive, especially with women. So there's a little bit of backstory on Stephen and his kind of complicated upbringing. On October 8th, 2019, kind of in the midst of everything that's going on, Stephen Testaseca gets a call from his biological son, and it is a strange phone call. Wade openly admits to his father that he has killed 2 women. In fact, he says of Christine Melton, "I choked the bitch." Then Wade starts to tell his father about how he went to take Christine's body and put it in her own vehicle, but that rigor mortis had set in and he couldn't fit the body in the trunk. His father is kind of leery of this. He's like, is he on drugs right now? He doesn't really sound like he's in his right mind, kind of, what's going on. And it's my understanding there were kind of a series of phone calls. And in one of these phone calls, Wade tells his father that he had been hanging out with his girlfriend that night. He and his girlfriend had gotten into a fight, and Wade got in his girlfriend's car. It was a silver Hellcat, and drove off and left his girlfriend with no ride. She ends up calling a friend who comes and picks her up. Wade takes his girlfriend's car and goes to a bar in Cape Coral. He starts talking with Christine and a friend of hers, and they all end up back at Christine's house. And then the friend of Christine's left, leaving Wade alone with Christine. The bar they had been at is called Buddha Live. We don't have a lot of details on what happened that night at Christine's house, but she ends up dead at Wade's hands. Then Wade tells his father that he's driving down the street and he sees Diane Ruiz walking to work. He pulls over and asks Diane for directions. He pretends he needs directions. Diane comes close to his car, and then Wade lures Diane into his car somehow. As they're driving, for no reason at all, Wade reaches over and begins choking Diane. Wade then pulls over and then kind of pushes, throws Diane out of the car. He thinks she might be dead, but she's not. He sees that she's still breathing, and so he backs up the car and runs over Diane's body. After he runs her over, and I don't know if it was multiple times, but he tells his dad she looked like spaghetti. Just giving you a little bit of information on the kind of person that we're dealing with here. By the time Stephen had spoken to his son several times and heard these stories, he was like, whether or not he's on drugs and being a liar, the liar that his father knows him to be, at this point I'm calling the cops. So Stephen calls the police, they locate Wade Wilson, and they take him into custody. Here you see him just after that arrest, having his charges read to him on a jailhouse phone. As Wade sits in jail and word gets out that he is connected to both of these murders, both of these bartenders that have been found dead, he gives an interview to the local Fox news station. I'm going to play you just a couple of minutes of that interview. It's like 35 minutes long. I just always like to give you a little bit of a feel for the killer if I have them on video or on audio recording. It just, in my mind, and you guys mostly agree with me, it humanizes them and it reminds us that he's not actually a monster. I mean, he is, but he's just a person. I always feel like seeing them on video or hearing their voices reminds us of that. I also want to point something out. This is Wade's 2019 mugshot. You can see he does have a large tattoo on his neck that says "Bred for War." And he does have other tattoos. Then again, in 2023, he's charged with some sort of a drug charge. I can go into that more on a follow-up episode if you'd like. Again, this was kind of rushed. But even in that 2023 mugshot, he's still just got the neck tattoo. When he appears in court a few weeks ago for the first time that we've seen him in years, he looks very, very different. He's had a lot of prison tattoo work done. And the most disturbing of the tattoos, besides the fact that they're really shitty tattoos, he's got on his cheek, I don't even know if I can say the word, it's a symbol associated with Yahtzees. And he's also got it tattooed really, really largely on his head. You can see it when his head is shaved. I guess when your life is over at 25, you don't really care what you look like anymore, but the tattoos are important because they add to what ends up being the big controversy.
Hey, this is Wade. How's it going?
This is Rochelle with Fox 4. How are you doing?
Good. I'm doing good, Rochelle. How are you?
I'm good. Wade, really quickly, I just wanted to confirm, are you okay that we're recording and going to broadcast this interview? Are you okay with that?
I'm okay with that. Yes, ma'am.
Wade, I mean, I hate to get to the heavy stuff right off the bat, but this is a question a lot of people at home have been asking us. They want to know the answer to, so I just want to ask you right off the bat. People want to know, are you guilty of those murders? Did you commit those murders concerning Christine Melton and Diane Ruiz?
No, ma'am. I did not commit these murders, and I'm innocent. I did not. No, ma'am.
So take us through, can you take me through October 6th through the 8th? From the start of October 6th to the day of your arrest.
So let me kind of start to tell you, can I go ahead and just speak a little bit? Is that okay?
Yeah, no, go for it. Tell me.
Me and Mila, we went to a bar called Buddha, right? And we went to the Buddha, and we were there for a little while, maybe 2 or 3 hours we had been there. And to let everybody know, I did leave the Buddha with Kristen, okay? I left with Kristen, and it was me, it was Kristen, it was one of her friends, Kristen's friends, who I don't know the name of. I'm not sure what her name is. And also another individual, which was a guy that was at the Buddha as well. He was there. He came with us, so we all left. Me and Mila have a 2016 Dodge Hellcat, and we all left in the Hellcat, and we went to and the guy that I'm telling you about, I don't know his name. I'm not sure who he was. I'm not sure what his name is. He was an individual that we all met at the Buddha, and but we went to his house first, and he lives off McGregor, and we went to his house, and we partied a little bit at his house, and me and Kristen were intimate, and Kristen's friend and the man that I'm speaking of, they were kind of just like in the other room talking amongst themselves with each other, while me and Kristen, like I said, we were intimate together. And then, we were there at his house for a little while, like I said, and then we went to leave his house, so now it was just me, Kristen, and her friend, and we were going to leave his house, and we were going to leave, like I said, in the Hellcat, and it just so happened that the Hellcat was actually out of gas. We ran out of gas, so we pulled out of his driveway, and we went down the road a little bit, but we didn't even make it off his road. We were still on his street. The Hellcat broke down. We pulled it over into the side of the grass, and then Kristen called for an Uber ride for all of us. And so she called for the Uber, and we went from there, from the Hellcat in the Uber to Kristen's house. Me, her, and her friend, Kristen's friend. And we got to the house, and we were all there just hanging out. And then Kristen's friend actually left the house. She said that she had work or whatnot the following day, and she had to go. So she eventually left. She called. I think her car was there, and she drove away in her vehicle. And again, me and Kristen were continuing to be intimate together. And this went on for, I don't know, me and her together maybe an hour. And, now it's maybe, I don't know, 5, 6 o'clock in the morning, somewhere around then. And, like I said, I mentioned to you earlier.
So the trial begins about 3 weeks ago. And when Wade Wilson walks into the courtroom, he's got this swagger. He's really tall. He's lost some weight. He's bulked up in prison. And then he's got these tattoos. He's also got kind of his hair's combed back, kind of mafioso style. It's greased, and then he's got the sides and the back shaved. And immediately women take note. Look, if we were to stand this guy up along, with 25 other guys and say, is he the normal standard of attractiveness? Yes, he is. But any physical attractiveness, in my mind, should be washed away by knowing what he did. That should make you feel like he's gross and disgusting. But it kind of had the opposite effect, I guess, for some women. During the trial, the 911 call is played. That's where I got the audio. Josh Lukich actually testifies as to what happened that day when Wade came to his business. An officer takes the stand. I think this was the officer that was trying to detain Wade that day in the black car. But it all kind of culminates when Wade's biological father, Stephen Testaseca, takes the stand. It is rough. Stephen has no affection for his son, and that is very plain. Stephen tells the jurors that he got tired of his son making demands on him. He wasn't really even sure that he wanted to have a relationship with him. And throughout the trial, I didn't have time to watch a lot of it, but Wade Wilson had been very emotionless. But when his biological father is on the stand, he chews his gum a little harder and he swallows a lot. I noticed that. And Not that I care, but I think it bothered him. It's really the only time that I saw any kind of reaction or anything that could be considered emotions coming from Wade Wilson. So the trial continues, but in the end, there aren't any surprises. Just a couple of weeks ago, the jury returned with its verdict. Wade Wilson was found guilty on all 6 counts he was charged with, including 2 counts of first-degree murder for the murders of Diane Ruiz and Christine Melton. I want to talk about the victims for just a moment. Diane Ruiz was apparently a lovely woman who had been working at the Moose Lodge for 5 years. Her boss says the employees there are a family and that she was loved by everyone. Diane has 2 sons, Brandon and Zane. Zane testified during the trial as jurors and observers in the courtroom cried. Zane said he will never get to see his mom in the crowd while he's on the field in the marching band that he's in. She will never get to see him get married. And I did watch that part, and it was hard to watch. Christine, who was only 35 years old, was a cat lover, and friends say she was the best cat mom ever. Christine's best friend since high school is a woman named Stephanie Sailors, who is 41. She had been with Christine and Wade earlier on the night of Christine's death. So Stephanie had been at Buddha Live with Wade and Christine. They'd gone back to Christine's house, and I guess Stephanie thought, maybe there's going to be some sort of an encounter, and she left. Stephanie tells people that Christine was funny and sharp, she was witty, and she made everyone feel loved. Wade Wilson, I say psychopath, I don't know if that's a clinical diagnosis. This psycho sits there through the entire trial and does not shed a tear, does not have a quiver of the upper lip. He shows no emotion at all. At the end of the verdict, he was re-fingerprinted and led away in handcuffs. Apparently, there were already women talking about Wade Wilson from the trial, but it is his appearance a few days ago on June 25th that sent TikTok especially into a frenzy. I'll tell you the outcome of that day first. On June 25th, the jurors recommended to the judge that Wade Wilson be put to death. It was not a unanimous decision. I think it was 9-3, but in the state of Florida, the sentencing recommendation does not have to be unanimous. It only has to be majority. Wade Wilson shows up in court on July 25th in these khaki pants. He's definitely got an attitude. He's definitely trying to, swagger through the courtroom. I know the khaki pants seem like a weird detail, but you would not believe the comments I've erased on my TikTok. I think there's still a couple up if you want to go look. But let's finish talking about the trial. Wade Wilson will reappear in court on July 23rd, and on that day, the judge will hand down his sentence. Judge Nicholas Thompson has overseen the trial. That judge will take all of the evidence and the jury's recommendation into consideration before handing down Wade Wilson's sentence. This is Florida. I'm assuming he's going to get the death penalty. After he is sentenced, Wade will be taken from the Lee County Jail, which is where he's been for years, and he will enter the Florida prison system. So that's kind of something nice to look forward to, because county jail is not the Florida state prison system. So that brings you up to date on the murders, on the victims, and on what has transpired so far in court. Now we're going to go into the controversy. Is this a little bit of drama talk? Is this a little bit of drama reporting on my part? It is, but I think this stuff is really important because we talk a lot here about the psychology of killers, why people do what they do. You guys are well aware of that. And I think this kind of stuff is interesting to me because it shows us, it reminds me that we still have a lot of problems that we need to deal with in the way that we look at things and in the way that we talk about people that do bad things. Now, I've talked a little bit about this before. If you're not on TikTok, every community is represented on TikTok. So if you are a person that really likes to read, it's called book talk. Book talk is where the problem starts. But there's food talk, there's drama talk, there's celebrity talk. Hell, there's crochet talk. There's cat talk. Every community has its own little, segment on TikTok, its own little niche, and it's all called, whatever it is. We're true crime talk. Now, the book talk community is populated, apparently. I am not a member of book talk. I don't love to read. I have ADD and I'm not a great reader. I have good reading skills in that I can read the words, but I don't remember a lot of what I read. I don't retain a lot of what I read. And I just don't really enjoy reading that much. I'm an audio person. But apparently in Book Talk, there are a lot of women who really, they fetishize a certain type of man. They're really involved in the fantasy of the superhero type of guy, not in a Marvel Comics sense of word, but like a big, beautiful, muscular man with like long flowing hair, you know, that sweeps women off their feet. There's a lot of romanticism and fetishizing of certain types of men in Book Talk. So I'm going to show you some videos that start cropping up on Book Talk regarding Wade Wilson. I guess a couple of videos came out of Wade and made their way onto Book Talk. And before you know it, TikTok was flooded with videos of like Wade walking into the courtroom in slow motion. These khaki pants become a big topic of discussion. I'm not going to play these videos, but there are even videos where they zoom in on his crotch. I'm going to play you the videos, but I can't play you the audio because they use songs that I can't use here on YouTube. The songs that most of these videos are set to, the first one is Way Down We Go by Kaleo, is how you say it. And then they set a lot of the videos to $1 Million Baby. So here's a few little samples of these gross videos. About 3 days ago, Bunny XO posted a video on her TikTok where she is sitting in her podcast studio and she's talking to a person that she podcasts with. And she says, should we tell him what we just did? Now again, Bunny XO is famous for being Jelly Roll's wife. They've become very popular on social media because they're definitely an odd couple. Jelly Roll is a really, really big guy. Bunny is very, kind of sex kitten-like. They don't look like they go together, but they have this really good relationship, an open marriage, I guess. But they've gotten really popular for being very, very transparent. Bunny used to be a sex worker. Jelly Roll has had a lot of trials in his life, and they're very open about it. And they're very open about talking about how they have overcome drug addiction and domestic violence and all of these problems. And now they have this really strong relationship. And people like that, and they relate to it. I don't agree with everything they say. I don't agree with everything that they do, but I do find them entertaining. And I do think they've done a lot of good things. I am so sorry about the noise. I really hope my mic's not picking this up. And I have a noise diffuser filter in my software that I'm going to use. I'm just discombobulated today. Bunny called the Florida prison and tried to get in touch with Wade Wilson to get him on her podcast as a guest. I don't have a problem with that, and I'm going to get into this in a moment. But it was the energy that she spoke about this with. She kind of came off like a giddy fangirl. She said that she was fascinated with Wade Wilson's story. She talked about him being fine as, and then where I get involved here, I said that she said he's hot. I'm going to get into all the details about this. She did not say he's hot. She said women think he's hot, and there is a difference. Now, this video ends up getting taken down. I think Bunny herself took it down. There are little clips of it floating around, so I'm going to play you the only part of it I could find.
What we just did. Should we tell him memes?
Let's try.
We just called the one of the jails in Florida to talk to Wade Wilson to get him on the podcast because I am fascinated with his story. And now that he's saying he's innocent, and like, you know how like the internet is like just like half of them is divided because everybody's like, oh dude, he's so fine, and the other half are like, I'd let him run me over, and then the other half are like, oh my god, what a weirdo. So how cool.
Now, you can see there, the energy is a little silly and a little lighthearted, and she's talking about this murderer, and she's fascinated with him, and people lost their minds. The energy in the situation is not great. The delivery is not great. But when I tell you that people are calling for her head, and I find the reaction, I don't find the punishment to fit the crime. The videos that people are making about Bunny are vile.
You're disgusting. You're a disgusting ass person. I knew that you were problematic when you were letting people like Ronnie Radke and whatever the other idiots go on your podcast. But for you to minimize what he did by saying that people think he's a weirdo, he murdered 2 women and he's a white supremacist. Are you kidding me? I cannot stand this woman, and I don't give a shit if her stupid fans come at me in my comments. I don't give a shit. You are absolutely a disgusting human being, and you do not deserve to have any platform at all. Especially because you're willing to share your platform with murderers.
I mean, that's a bit much. That's a bit much. She didn't go on and make racist comments or queerphobic comments or misogynistic comments. You know, I get it. The delivery was not great, but that's a bit much. So my dumb ass gets up on Sunday morning and I'm scrolling through these videos and I'm seeing all the book talk videos and the reaction to women calling Wade Wilson hot. Fine AF. I'd let him run me over. Look at him in those khaki pants. I'd love to get into those khaki pants, this, that, and the other. It's gross. So then I go on to True Crime Talk and I'm following some creators that I trust and people that have weighed in on this. And I hear them say that Bunny said Wade Wilson was hot, that he was fine AF, that he was fascinating, all of this other stuff. And I'm like, well, you know, I'll weigh in a little bit because I kind of wanted to get feedback from people on where they stood on this. You know me, I'm always interested in the psychology of what's going on behind the scenes. So this is the TikTok that I posted on Sunday morning.
If you're not aware of this, there is a huge controversy on TikTok right now surrounding Bunny XO saying that she wanted to have Wade Wilson, the murderer, on her podcast. I'm a true crime content creator. That's all I do. Look, Dateline interviews murderers and millions of people watch those interviews. It's not the fact that she wanted to interview a murderer I don't think that people have the problem with, or at least they shouldn't, because if you have a problem with that, then you have a problem with all of us true crime content creators. It's the verbiage that she used. She said he was hot, he was fine, and he was fascinating. Murderers are fascinating. That's just a fact. That's why so many people like true crime. But you have to be careful in the way that you talk about people and the way that you glorify what they've done. And I think that's where she messed up. But I just kind of want your feedback on this. Give me your thoughts. And I mean, am I wrong? I'm certainly not defending her.
Pretty benign, I thought. You know, I didn't take a real hard line either way. I stated my opinion, which I think it was in some poor taste. But I also stated very clearly, if you want to be mad at Bunny for wanting to interview Wade Wilson, you got to be mad at Dateline, you got to be mad at 48 Hours, you got to be mad at Netflix, you got to be mad at everybody, me included. I would interview Wade Wilson if given the chance. I would. There is a $1 billion industry in the true crime industry populated by people who are fascinated with murder, with murders, with victims, with the whole stories. I have no problem with Bunny saying she wants to interview a murderer. I don't. So I post my little video and then I go on about my day. It was Jason's last day here in Utah before he had to get back on the road. So we were really trying to cram a lot of stuff in before he left. We're still kind of moving and getting settled. My studio's not built. Anyway, I post the video. I come back an hour later and check the comments, and I am just being, oh my gosh. I normally don't erase a lot of comments or delete a lot of comments, but I did a lot of deleting of comments, at least 50 comments. I mean, that's a lot for me. I don't get a million views on my videos. So Bunny has a huge following, and she's got some supporters that have come on my video, said I'm stepping on Bunny. I'm trying to get clout by talking about Bunny. I've been doing this for 4.5 years. Working for free, 60 hours a week. If I was trying to get clout, I would have done that a long time ago. I just talk about the things that interest me. Then I've got other people that are agreeing with me and saying such terrible things about Bunny that I don't want to be associated with that either. Some people even went so far as to accuse Bunny of racism because Wade Wilson has the tattoos that he has, and she was saying he was hot, which she did not say, and other things like that. And so they were saying she was a racist and a supporter of a white supremacist. People were definitely putting words in her mouth at this point. Okay, I've had that happen to me, and it's not a good feeling. It's not fun. So then Bunny herself comes on my page and enters the chat, and she says, I will put the screenshots up, I didn't say he was hot, I said women think he's hot. Okay, that is a difference. And in my initial video, I said that she said Wade Wilson is hot. She didn't say that. I have since posted not only an apology to Bunny and to my followers because I made a mistake and I try to be very factual. I also then posted Bunny's apology video as my way of kind of trying to spread the apology and make it up to her. As you can see, I replied to her, thank you for correcting me. She then comes back on and says, I can send you the full video if you like, so you can see my words exactly because so many people have twisted them. And then she puts the little prayer hands. I replied, if you would like me to repost, I am happy to do that. Well, then people saw this interaction. And I spent the rest of the day deleting comments, deleting emails, not even reading through the emails. Sunday was a long day for me. Even this morning has already been a long morning for me. I stepped in it, okay? So I am now going to show you the video that I posted this morning with my taking accountability, apologizing, and then I'm going to post Bunny's apology. If you do not want to watch this whole entire thing, you can skip to the end.
I need to make a correction. Yesterday, I posted a video about the controversy surrounding murderer Wade Wilson and what Bunny XO said about him. I jumped on TikTok yesterday morning. I watched about 20 videos, some of them from creators that I'm mutuals with, people that I trust, and everybody was saying that Bunny said Wade Wilson is hot. I repeated that in my video. I stand by pretty much everything I said in that video, but that is not true. Now, the video's been taken down, so my bad for listening to what other people were saying. I'm 53 years old. I know better. No, I couldn't watch the video because it's gone, but that's not an excuse. Bunny herself came into my comments and said, I never said Wade Wilson was hot. I said women think he's hot. And there's a difference. Now, do I stand by everything else I said in the video? I do. I think the energy was off, and I think the words chosen were not great. So the first thing I need to do is own up to my mistake, and the second thing is to apologize to Bunny and apologize to you guys. I try to be very factual here, and I messed up yesterday. I also want to say I think some of the videos I have seen about Bunny are vile. I don't think some of the response videos I've seen, I don't think the punishment matches the crime. We all make mistakes, and I'm owning up to mine, and I think the best thing I can do now is post Bunny's apology video for you to see. It's not on her main page. I'm not really sure why that is, but this is just my way of trying to make things right. Again, I own my part in that. I try really hard to just give you guys the facts, and I didn't do that yesterday. Frankly, I was being lazy. My granddaughter's 4th birthday was on Saturday, and we had a time, and I was feeling a little hungover and lazy. Again, not an excuse, but I learned my lesson. I will now no longer take other creators at their word. I will not comment on other people's videos unless I've seen the whole video. I mean, duh, I should know that. So here is Bunny's apology video, and can we all just remember to give each other a little bit of grace now and then? Have a great day.
Hi babies, good morning. I'm on West Coast time, so I'm just waking up, but I'm waking up to a ton of people who were offended and upset, rightfully so, by my post yesterday. I think anybody who has followed me for a really long time knows that my intentions were not to glorify somebody. It was more of, I had heard an interview with him yesterday claiming his innocence, and I was like, what? Like, how could this man even think he was innocent?
But what we're not going to do is put words in my mouth and change things around. I did not say the man was hot. I said women think he's hot and some think he's weird, talking about how the internet is so divided over this murder. And when I was smiling yesterday, I was laughing because before that, and we have it on video, speaking to the person at the jail was ridiculous. Like, I couldn't even believe this lady was working at the jail. I was not smiling about Wade or anything like that, but when I said I wanted to interview him, it was not to bring him on to glorify him or paint him in any good light. My intention was saying, like, how does this man think he's innocent when there is so much evidence stacked against him, like even down to his dad, everything. Being curious about why a killer is a fucking whack job does not make me a bad person, because there are so many people who are interested in true crime and murderers get interviews all the time. But what makes me an asshole is being insensitive to the victims' families. And this is me talking to one of the victims' children last night at 2 o'clock in the morning, actually almost 3 o'clock in the morning. And after I spoke to her, I felt so bad. Not because of me wanting to interview her, but because I truly did not show empathy to the victims' families. And even though it wasn't intentional, it's still what happened. And for that, I do apologize. And I also took down the videos because I told her that it's the right thing to do. Like, let me take down the video because, you know, I see your point of view, and honestly did not think that this would even get any traction or go anywhere. So I love you guys. I learned a lesson. People make mistakes all the time, and that was just one of them. So thank you guys for teaching that lesson to me, and I will tread ever so lightly when I do true crime. This has actually made me look at true crime stuff a lot differently, because I didn't realize how much they do glorify the murderers and not give the victims a platform as well. So this might have just changed the trajectory of, you know, what I'm wanting to do, and maybe there's a way that I'll be able to help a little bit more with my platform. But I definitely need to be more conscious with my platform of how I present things. So I love you guys. Have the best day.
Now, I just want to be really clear about something. The thing that matters in this story the most is that 2 women are dead. That's what matters. I do not like what has happened in the last week in the true crime community, because it gives us all a black eye that we deserve. But I also want to talk about book talk, because book talk is as problematic, if not more so. When I first started YouTube, Dining with Death, I got some very negative comments, and I took them to heart. What I didn't understand, because I had never posted videos before, I would film the crime story on one day, and then I would film the cooking segment on Dining with Death another day, and I'd be in a different mood. But you guys didn't see that. You just saw me go from horrible crime story to cooking segment. So I'm like, you know, telling this awful story, and then I'm like, let's cook some dinner. It wasn't great, okay? I did not do a good job of tonally policing myself and making sure that the tones of the 2 different segments matched. I took a lot of heat. I took a lot of criticism. I did a lot of apologizing, and I will continue to apologize. I still have people that will come on and be like, this was weird. You just told a story about the Waffle House massacre and then cooked food from Waffle House, and we're like joking around in the cooking. And I'm like, you are right. I did not do a good job in those early days, and I'm sorry. And I am sorry. And I will leave the videos up so I can continue to apologize. But I guess this is why I also feel a little sympathy for Bunny, okay? We all make mistakes. Had she come on and been like, oh, I sleep with him, I'd do this, that man's so fine. That's not what she did. It was tonally inappropriate. In my opinion, she doesn't deserve to have people calling for her head and the cancellation of her entire platform. And I got people ringing my doorbell. The moral to this story is very clear. 2 beautiful women are dead. They are dead. The ripple effects of that will go on for years, and that will affect people in their lives and surrounding their lives for decades to come. These women are gone, they lost everything, and now the people in their lives are left to pick up the pieces and try to move forward the best they can. That is what matters, and that is what we should always keep in the forefront of the conversation. Yes, we are going to continue to talk about the murderers. We find the murderers interesting, and we cannot tell the story without talking about the killer. But this entire situation is just a beautiful reminder that we must be very careful with the words that we choose and the energy that we tell the stories with. And I have not always done a great job of that, and this is my commitment to do better. Part of remembering the victims is keeping their stories alive, and it's important to me that I continue to tell these stories so that we don't forget the victims, and also in hopes that we learn something from these cases. The lesson that I've learned from this case is that I need to be very, very careful before repeating something I've heard online, and I need to be very, very careful about the way I talk about these killers. I want to send all the love from our community to the families and the friends of Diane Ruiz and Christine Melton. We are all so very sorry for your loss. I am sorry that you had to sit in the courtroom and hear about the terrible things that were done to someone that you love. I am sorry that people are idolizing this murderer and calling him sexy and hot and saying they want to sleep with him. That must be so incredibly upsetting for you. And I'm embarrassed for us all. I'm embarrassed. The last thing I ever want to do as a member of the true crime community is make any pain that anyone has suffered worse. And I've learned a valuable lesson here, and I am committing to do better. I always try to do my best, but I am committing to do even more. I tell these stories in hopes of keeping the victims' names alive, and I will be very, very careful about the way I talk about not only them, but other people who weigh in. I will try to only bring you the facts, and I will be very, very careful before I repeat anything that I hear on social media again, because that's the least I can do. It's been a lot. It's been a lot. I appreciate you sticking with me through all of this. I'm in the studio. There's some droning machine out in front of my house. Somebody just rang the doorbell. I'm sweating. I feel embarrassed from my involvement in this. I feel apologetic and sorry. I feel sorry for the families. I feel a little sorry for Bunny. I feel angry at the people that are making any of this conversation necessary. I just feel a little out of sorts today, and I'm sure you can tell. So on Thursday, you will get the episode that you were supposed to get today. It is another disturbing story. In the meantime, like the video. If you like the video, leave me feedback. I'm open to criticism. You can also join my Patreon. Let's remember what we're doing on Patreon. Our community raises money to donate to police departments that have cold case DNA in storage that's never been tested. This community is raising money to get one of those kits tested. We're going to vote on the case. We're going to donate the money, and we're going to get that kit tested. Two things happen when we do. Best case scenario, of course, is that we solve a cold case. The worst case scenario is still good. We get that perpetrator's DNA in the system so that if they've committed other crimes, we might tie them to those. This is the thumbnail on my channel that will take you to the video that explains all of the details about the fundraiser. You can also listen to my podcasts. I have two. This is Dining with Death. This is the audio taken from the video episodes. This is an archival series. I will never make new episodes for Dining with Death, but there's some great stories on there. And this is the current podcast, Dark Hearts with Stacey Lee. I post a new episode every Monday and every Wednesday, and all of these episodes have been re-recorded in very high quality audio. They sound great. I love you guys. I'm really happy that you're here. I'm so grateful to have the audience that I do. I know a lot of us talk in the comments about how it seems like it's taking my channel a really long time to grow. I've watched other true crime channels start up, and they're way bigger than mine. I don't know why that is. If I was getting negative feedback from you guys, or even people being like, I don't like the sound of your voice, I don't like the format, I would be open to changing something. But every time I ask you guys, am I doing something wrong? You say, no, we like what you're doing. So I don't know why the channel isn't growing. I wish that it would, because it gives us more options for raising money, and obviously, more avenues to get the stories out. But what it also means is that each and every one of you are even that much more important to me, because a lot of you have been here with me from the beginning. And even if you haven't and you're new, you're part of the community. I want to still be here making these videos, working 40 to 50 hours a week regularly, and sometimes 60 hours a week. I don't make any money doing this. It costs me money. But I'm keeping my fingers crossed. I'm doing a little promotion, and I'm hoping we can get to a point where I can continue to do this. Thanks for being so forgiving, and thank you for all of your continued support. Stay safe, my friends, and be kind to each other, and I will see you next time on Dark Hearts with Stacey Lee. Bye.